You should be able to live off of minimum wage. I think a lot of people agree with that. But what does that really mean? I think some people think that when others are talking about a livable wage, they're thinking some sort of extravagant lifestyle. But the majority of us, or at least me, that are saying this means that we shouldn't be able to live a modest lifestyle. But what does that mean? In my eyes, it means rent or mortgage that's 20% of your income. It means being able to buy groceries that support a balanced lifestyle with fresh food and convenience foods. It means student loans that can be paid off within 5 to 10 years. It means having a reliable vehicle. It means being able to have hobbies, maybe even splurge a couple times a year, a modest vacation, health visits that don't make you homeless, a work-life balance. It means your basic needs are met, and there's a little extra for some joy in your life.
Okay, I have to rant for a minute. This is for the low-income people, pointing towards the people that look at us like we're so disgusting and you hate us. Okay, listen. I was in Walmart, and of course it's Christmas break. My kids are home, so they're going to be eating more, so we're going to need more food. So I had a buggy full of groceries. Mind you, I have a full-time job. I am in my work scrubs, so you can clearly see I'm working or had been at work. So I have an income. Yes, I have a single income for my girls because I did not choose to be a single mom, and sometimes that's just what happens. Okay? So just because I have food stamps to help support my kids when I make less than $20,000 a year, mind you, I make more than minimum wage, but yet I still need a little help. I'm not afraid to admit that. But it sickens me that people look at us like we are disgusting and worthless, because this is just to help us get us on our feet. I get there are people that abuse it, but stop judging everybody because of those people. The most important thing is kids are being fed, yet you still want to complain about it.
It's another moment of honesty, y'all. So, listen, man. It don't matter if you make 15 an hour, 20 an hour. That's not enough, bro. It's not enough. It's not enough. Alright? That's just the truth. All that, oh, it's a spending problem. No, it's not. It's an earning problem. It's an earning problem. Point blank, period. Alright? Rent is going bananas. Con Edison bill, all the bills, man, they don't stop. Alright? The real truth of the matter is that we gotta find a way to make more money. And then put that money to work so that we got cash flow. That's the real truth. Alright? They ain't gonna tell you that though. They gonna try to sell you their course. But the real truth is you don't make enough money. That is the facts. Real talk. That's why they say don't lose your dreams just for a paycheck. Keep going after your dreams. Focus on the bag.
I need to rant about the minimum wage for a second because I'm livid. Think it through, like, logistically. Like, who do you actually think is working these jobs? I started working when I was 16, and yes, I started at $7.25 an hour. I stayed at that same job through high school and college because I'm loyal. When I was 19, I got laid off from that movie theater job because it was being converted to a dine-in. Laid off of my $9 an hour job, and I was devastated because I needed it to pay my rent and for my books and for my food and for my gas and to live. Scrambled and needed something immediately, so I started working 2 other jobs to make up for the amount that I lost from that stable job while I was in college. Full-time student working 50 to 60 hours a week between the 2 jobs just to make ends meet. If minimum wage was $15 an hour when I was in college, it would have changed my life, and I'm pretty decently well off. This could change so many people's lives. Why? Why?
I could literally talk about this topic all day and all night. I actually did a post on my business page the other day about salary inflation because I see this constantly. And all that happens for me is that, everybody wants to be a director, but all you do with that salary range and that title is downgrade what that job actually is. So 20 years ago, that was a salary that was, well into the 6 figures, right? And we're talking 90s, 2000s, aren't we? And now I've seen jobs going for 50 grand, 70 grand. And these are in London, by the way, as well, which is just, for me, it's ridiculous. And, I'll die on that hill because I know how much it costs to live there. I know what the costs are, and I just find the salaries being offered are insane. But all that you then get is a senior director or a VP of sales or this or that, the other. Whereas that kind of role, a consultancy type of role, was always, reserved for people who were near retirement or had retired, right? Who were late 50s, 60s, generally speaking. So you just got this false economy all the time, I think. And I mean, as for salary ranges, all I can do is give examples of having 2 interns, new graduates, last year in London on 25 grand. My friends were on 25 grand, or 20 to 25, I would say, 20 to 25 years ago. True story. So I'm in my mid-40s. And it's just like, yeah, it's a problem, right? I I just think the whole economy is just screwed, not just in the UK, whether you're in San Francisco, whether you're in Sydney, I say it a lot, but 200 grand is the new 100 grand. Like, it's not a lot of money, not when you're taxed to the hilt, not when in this country, and that's a whole nother story as well, you make more money, it will tax you 3 times as much as somewhere else. I am more than likely going to move my business out of the UK in the next few months. I don't have any assets or anything like that. But in terms of being able to save any money, it is impossible in this country. And I stand by that, and everyone will have their own opinions on it. But at the end of the day, whatever you're earning, it is not enough money to save any money, realistically. And I think we all know that. And I feel for, the 20, 25-year-olds who haven't lived in a world where you don't have to make decisions between heating your house and eating some food. And, this video is going to go, there's so many things I could say about all this, right? But, it's each to their own. And I just look at things and, I've worked for 20 odd years. I am at that level, and, where I'm on a senior salary, or at least I should be, not according to these recruiters, I'm not. But yeah, like, you've earned that money, you've got that experience, you expect that salary, and people don't want to give it to you. And it's like, sometimes you can't find those other opportunities, can you? I see it all the time with people who are in the 50s or earlier, and they just can't get another job, because obviously it goes to the cheaper, younger members of staff or whatever, like it always has done. But all I think when I see these articles on LinkedIn or other people, I just think the fact that layoffs happen so often now, with such frequency, where companies just decide that they couldn't give a shit about you, which is what's happened to me in my last 2 jobs. It's not okay to give me a week's notice. It's not acceptable, sorry. So even though I've got a decent day rate at the moment, I've got this job for a little bit, then we don't work every day. That's the point. You're not paying us sick pay, holiday pay, national insurance, and all the other benefits that you get with being an employee. But they all want to make out that you're somehow earning multi-millions of pounds. You're not. So yeah, I completely get your point about being on more money 30 years ago. Absolutely. Or even like when we were younger, and I remember at a time when I was about 18, I was making the same as my mum. And it's those kinds of things, isn't it, where you're like, yeah, this isn't quite right. This isn't okay. So I think I knew back then, but I also remember salaries being higher for what people were getting paid. And, it's like I said before, we're just supposed to pretend that the cost of living isn't affecting us. And we've got Sainsbury's and Tesco and whoever else making billions of pounds in profit in the last financial year. But, so there's no cost of living crisis. It's created like everything else. So I could talk about this all day. I could give my unvalidated opinion about it all day, but I won't bother. But yeah, it's salaries haven't gone up, costs are through the roof, but we're just supposed to manage, aren't we? We're just supposed to. And that was the notion, and that viral meme with the woman who's earning 150 grand or whatever that I mentioned in the other video. It was like, oh, well, you could manage. All right, am I supposed to? So what, we're not supposed to live anywhere nice, have any holidays, eat nice food? We're just supposed to be down Asda, getting all the cheapo stuff in the yellow packets, because we could just about manage on it, should we? So as you squeeze us more and more with recessions, with money, with everything else, we're just supposed to put up with that, aren't we? Until what? We're all on the street, until we're all dead. I mean, what is the point exactly? And without that getting too political, it is My opinion is that it is very much, that is the point, isn't it? It's to make you reliant on the state. It's to make you have nothing. And the reason why I'll move my money and my business out of the UK is because I can't save any money. So even if I'm on six figures, the cost of accommodation, the amount of tax I have to pay. So if you compare it to somewhere like the Isle of Man, where I've lived before, they've got a flat rate of 22%. You make more money, you pay more money. Simple as that. Other countries are the same, where you can go and start your business up as a startup or an entrepreneur, and there's either a very low rate of tax or there's a set value for corporate tax that you're going to pay. So it's in your best interest to make more money, and no one's got a problem with paying tax or paying your way or anything like that. But it's when it's so extortionate that there's nothing left, and for me, that is where we're at right now in this country. We are anti-business. It's been said many times before, and it's true. What we're putting up council tax now, we're putting up in, obviously national insurance and stuff like that, which is only going to lead to job losses, and it's the most anti-business thing you could ever think about. Anybody with any understanding of economics knows that you can't just up taxes to make money. It doesn't work. All you do is stifle growth, you stifle the economy, no one buys anything, huge recession, boom, it flattens out. And all that most people are doing, whether it's on a digital nomad scheme or moving overseas, lots of people know that lots of people are relocating to Europe or various other places under this idea of being a digital nomad. It's not about working overseas. It's a cash grab at the end of the day. People live overseas, somewhere nice, somewhere cheaper. They just come back to London for meetings and they fly back out again. It's going to just become more and more common. And what's going to happen when all the money goes out of the UK? It's going to plateau even more, isn't it? So I'm a firm believer that anyone who can leave will leave, because there is nothing to stay for. And it's not that easy living overseas. I've done it a couple of times previously. Nobody wants to do it. But what choice are we being left with here? I mean, who's going to be left, realistically? Just the people who have no option, and that's who are stuck, and those are the people in the middle, right? So now I don't have a house, I don't have any kids, I don't have anything to keep me here, and I'm in a position where I work remotely, so you know what, I can work on a balcony in Eastern Europe as much as I can work, obviously in my house here. So, and like I said before, I live in a really cheap house, but you know what, my bills now are more than my rent. Now, yeah, it's cheap, but it's not that cheap, and it's things like that when it's adding up and you're just like, yeah, this is getting crazy now, even for someone like me that's, obviously put money by and is doing okay. But when you're hemorrhaging through your own cash as well, it's definitely a problem. But anyway, there's my little very long rant about nothing. But yeah, it's a joke completely.
The job I just interviewed for at the end told me they pay $45K. The way I was holding my...
I don't have too much to say, except I've been in creative marketing and advertising for the better part of a decade now. I've worked in an agency. I've worked in-house for a big multinational brand, and I have freelanced. Kind of run the gamut of the kinds of jobs you can have as a marketing copywriter. And from what I understand, and based on what I've learned from the colleagues I've worked with over the years, the same goes for designers, for the art side of things. And I can 100% verify that the best bang for my buck, value for my labor, has been freelancing. Now I've accumulated, like I said, almost a decade's worth of experience. So that is the reason why I'm able to set my hourly rate or my flat rate so high. But my hourly and flat rate are actually $5 to $10 an hour less than what Google, aka the amalgamation of all of it, says the average salary for this kind of work plus X years of experience should be. If I went to my bosses when I was working either at the agency or in-house for a multinational brand, I 100% know I would have been laughed out of the office if I had asked for what I'm actually worth. This is a huge problem for this industry, and I assume, based on friends and family members who are in other industries, that this is the same thing across the board. And I don't know what else to say, because I am privileged to be able to work freelance, which I'm doing now. I'm privileged, and I know that, so I don't mean to say, hey, just quit your job and do it freelance because you get paid way more. You can, except it's, a different lifestyle, and the rule of feast or famine applies. But I can say this: if you've got 5+ years experience in the marketing industry, marketing adjacent, advertising, social media, etc., and you feel like you're able to do this, to leave your full-time gig and go to freelance contract only, and if you're diligent about it, you can make so much more money. And that's stupid. I just don't understand why companies can't chip in a little bit more to give hardworking industrialists like ourselves, people who want to work, people who enjoy working, people who like a lifestyle of work, to be a part of their core being. It's so easy. Anyway, this is far longer, and I know this will get like zero engagement, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents into this, that I have been so much happier and better off since I decided to freelance full-time. And if you're able to do that, I highly recommend it.
Alright, so I think I ruffled a couple feathers with that last post. Letting y'all know that $15 or $20 an hour is not enough. It's the truth. And you're gonna have some people that's gonna sit there and say, oh, no, you just don't know how to manage your money. First of all, calm that shit down. Alright? I'm actually getting better at saving and investing my money. It's just the truth of the matter that we have to make more money in order to keep up with the life. Keep up with inflation, keep up with the rising rent prices, food prices, etc. So, the real truth of the matter is that making more money and being able to save it and invest it really does matter. Real talk. And us making $15 to $20 an hour, even $25 an hour, bro, that's not gonna make none of us rich. That's just the truth, bro. It's the truth.
You keep the minimum wage low, it allows these jobs to offer these wages, if you will, that look like they're financially beneficial, yet are actually poverty wages, are actually completely unlivable. For example, I got my first job in 2007. It was at a Publix, and I made $6.05 an hour, but minimum wage was $5.15. So they told us over and over and over again how lucky we were to be making $6.05 an hour. We were making almost $1 more than minimum wage. Like, we should be ever so grateful. Couple months later, though, I was hanging out in the parking lot with my older coworkers. I was 17 at the time. These people were in their, 20s, 30s. Some of them were in their early 40s. And we were talking about how much everybody made, how much the different departments made. And when it got to me, I said I made $6.05 an hour. The conversation came to a halt. It was absolutely not. Multiple guys said, oh, hell no. I wouldn't even get out of bed for $6.05 an hour, which I didn't understand because I was a kid and I really didn't understand money like that. But looking back, he was absolutely right. I could work a 5, sometimes 6-day week if I was taking over for people, get right up to that 30-hour line and still not break $150 $50 after taxes? That is wild. That is slavery. Hell, I remember in 2009 when the minimum wage jumped to $7.25, and a lot of my friends and I had just started making basically about that. I think I was making $7.80 at the time. And a lot of people did not get pay raises to bring them to where they should be. So in essence, a lot of us actually lost money. Now, in 2025, 16 years later, minimum wage has still not jumped. So that allows companies like Amazon. When I first got to South Carolina, Amazon was paying $12.50 an hour. That still was not livable. I had a roommate at the time. Our rent was only, I want to say $6.50, so I only paid half of that. But even so, $12 an hour, every single dollar I had was pre-allocated to bills, to rent, to gas. I barely ate at the time. Had I had a child or multiple children, it would have been absolutely impossible. And now, in 2025, minimum wage is still $7.25. A lot of these places around here are getting by offering $15 an hour, maybe $17 an hour, $19 an hour if you're absolutely lucky, for jobs that should be making way, way more than that. This is hard work. These people are doing hard labor, but because minimum wage is frozen at $7.25, the jobs can go, look, we're offering you double minimum wage. We're offering you triple minimum wage. You should be happy. But how can one be happy when the average cost of a 2-bedroom apartment in this area is $1,400? Actually, that's not even average. That's on the low end. How are people making $14 or $17 or even $20 an hour supposed to afford that? They're not. They can't. All a frozen minimum wage does is hurt the people. Hurt the very people, ironically enough, who probably voted to keep it that way.
About you guys, but every minimum wage job I've ever had was infinitely harder than my current office job. Like, does that make sense to anyone that working a minimum wage job is way harder than working at an office and making 3 times as much? Like you'd think that the more you get paid, the harder your job is going to be, just on average, right? Just as an average. But so far in my life, like, that is the opposite of my experience. It's truly like the more you move up, it's like the less work that you have to do. And that just does not make sense. Like, I promise you, 90% of the people that work office jobs now, if they were to try to be a fucking dishwasher or a line cook, they would struggle so much more. And not only because the work, in my opinion, is way harder, but because of the lifestyle that you're forced into, because of how little that they pay you and how hard they overwork you compared to just a cushy office job.
And I honestly feel like we all have like this thing inside of us that we were supposed to like we were meant to be, meant to do. And it's like you can't even tap into that because you have to work a 9 to 5 and then you gotta try to make ends meet, but you're barely making ends meet because soon as they do put the hourly wages up, everything around you gets higher. And it's like, what's the sense of making the hourly wage go higher if everything else is going to go higher, like food and rent and all these other things? So it's like you try to cross the finish line, but then they push the finish line even further. I don't know. It just be a lot. God made everything for free, and it's like, why do we have to even pay? Like, especially these crazy amounts. It just doesn't make sense.